right, welcome back. So today we are back on the bench, the Traxxas and the Losi. As you see, the Losi's upside down. I'm working on some stuff with the rear toe, so I will be making some changes to that, but not in this video. I'm still working on what I'm exactly going to do. I have some ideas. I do have body, didn't suffer much at all. Little scrape right up in there, which I can buff out. Little scrape on the bumper, on that side, and then the other side, basically little scrape in the back, which I can buff out. But body overall didn't really suffer. I haven't flipped it. It just rubbed a curb on each side. I think the tires took most of it. But what I did notice, like I said, baby steps when it comes to the changes on this thing. All we did was a wheelie bar change. And what I noticed is that the wheelie bar did what it was supposed to do, just not enough. Basically, I got up, as you see, I'm full extension right there on the wheelie bar. So on the front, it's full extension and hitting the wheelie bar, which worked out really good. The problem that I had, and the reason I hit the curb, is that I am full extension. Because remember, these tires are going to grow a little bit, so everything's going to pick up a little bit. The wheels didn't come totally off the ground, but what it did was when I was cranked this way, trying to get away from that curb, it literally just pushed through it. Because it's up just a little too high to where I didn't have steering. I need it to come to, on the launch, I really need these, I need to limit these front shocks so that when I come up on the wheelie bar, I'm carrying the front wheels rather than it going to full extension and me not having steering. What I need it to do is start to come up, and then right before it hits the wheelie bar, I need it to carry those front wheels. So as you see, I have a little bit that I need to keep it down. So there's two ways that I can do it. One, I can put these wheels back on to limit how far I'm coming up, but then it's going to limit my weight transfer onto the rear, and I'm already still spinning out of the hole. So I really don't want to do that. What I am going to try to do is go back up to the position I had, which is the middle hole, and then I'm going to lower it by that much, trying to put on, these are the Traxxas bearing aluminum wheels that are rubber. So I'm going to try to run a bigger tire in the rear and going up one and seeing if that's enough. This position is perfect, but if I just throw on the bigger wheels, it's really only going to get, it's not going to give me enough travel. So first thing I'm going to do is make another wheelie bar adjustment if these wheels will work. So we're going to work on that right now. I'm going to pop these wheels apart and see if I can utilize them on this wheelie bar. I'm not sure if I can or if I can't, but we're going to take a look at that right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this apart and see if I can actually utilize these wheels on this wheelie bar. If I can, then I'll probably go up one and then put the bigger wheels back on. Then I'm probably going to throw some aluminum wheels on the front to give it some weight on the front end. I need steering. This thing is, as you see, doing some good times, but it's not raceable that way. I was either far left on the road or far right on the road hitting the curb. I can't race next to another car by doing that. It needs to go straight. Now the Losi went straight. What I have noticed is that the Traxxas doesn't seem to be towed in like the Losi. The Losi's really towed in the rear, and that's probably why it's a lot more stable than the Traxxas. Plus the Traxxas being as light as it is, the Traxxas is literally a lot lighter than the Losi. I do have aluminum wheels, the Martin Brother wheels on the front of the Losi, which that thing did great yesterday. I think the wheelie bar, I might move it up a little bit more, just so I can get some more weight transfer out of it. And like I said, I've already limited the front on those shocks, so it's not going into a wheel stand at all, and I have steering the whole time. So, which is a good thing. You definitely want steering. That's the biggest thing with me is got to have that steering. I have to have control of the RC down the whole track. If I don't have control, then you know I don't need to definitely be racing anybody. So, but the goal is to make it raceable next to some other people. Whether I do it or not, I don't know. I mean, my plans are, see that center hole might be bigger. So it does look like the bearing will push in there. And I'm wondering if I should make them inner or outer. I think I'm gonna have to turn these wheelie bar wheels around. Let's see. Kind of want a really wide stance with that, but I don't know if it's enough to where it'll actually clip into this thing. Yeah, see, it hits. So I'm going to try flipping these wheels around to where the Traxxas lettering is on the inside. And hopefully that's enough. So basically, I'm flat here. As long as it doesn't rub, I'm okay. There we go. That one's in. Let's see if the wheel's bind now. They're really close, but it clears. You just got to run I guess the aluminum wheels backwards, because the lettering should be out, but flipping them around is no big deal, as long as they don't rub. See, that's gonna be a lot smoother right there. So right there is not giving me any lift before it's on the wheelie bar. So the next thing is to bring this wheelie bar up one. That still might be too high. See, that's bringing it up a lot. I'm gonna hope that the aluminum front wheels will keep the front end down. If it doesn't, then we're gonna have to make another change. But all we can do, this is a part of testing and tuning, and that's why I try to make just one change at a time. I know that the wheelie bar with the short wheels on the basically one hole left to lower it works really good, but I knew I was going to run into a problem. See how I'm picking up the front where before, see, and then that one's dropping really slow where I don't think this one is. Yeah, see, this one goes right to full extension, goes down slowly, and that's an issue. So this shock seems to be working. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I noticed this before, but I just couldn't see it. I'm gonna get you guys down so you can see what I'm talking about. So take a look at these front wheels. Now, mind you, I haven't touched these shocks at all. I haven't taken any clips out. I haven't done anything. But we are going right off the launch, off the first hit, and there's a reason for it. Watch this. Watch how slow that one is on compression. As you see, this one's on the ground and this one's in the air. So it's like one of them's a different length for some reason. But this one's extending more than this wheel. This one's off the ground and this one's still on the ground. That's never good when you have two different length shocks. See? Watch. Setting it back down even. That one's touching and this one's still in the air. So we have two different lengths right here, which is an issue. You can't have two different length shocks. I might just have to upgrade these shocks. So it's got two bump stops on this one. It's like they're different lengths. So I'm going to pull the other one off, take it apart, and see if they're different lengths. Maybe they don't have the rod end screwed all the way in on one of them. Kind of like I found with the Losi, my left rear shock. The turnbuckle at the end of it wasn't screwed all the way in. Trying to do is limit it. So if we have one shock in the air and one shock touching the ground, this is why I can't steer it. I'm going to keep the springs separate. Everything else doesn't matter. And this shock feels stiffer. That's why it's going down slowly. And this one feels softer. So the shocks seem to be the same exact length. So what is causing one to droop farther than the other? So I think it's this upper turnbuckle. Trying to figure out what exactly stops it or limits it from extending. What I might do Because if it is in these turnbuckles, I can't just shorten one and then camber it in to make it the same. So what I might do is just limit my shocks so that my shocks are limiting the length. I think it's better if I do that, because we're gonna do that. We're gonna rebuild these front shocks. I'm gonna just get some fuel tubing and limit these. That's gonna be my best bet. Make the shocks the same, put the rubber on the inside, kind of like they did with these limiting. I'm gonna limit the front now. And then that's definitely gonna keep these arms the same, because I know my shocks are identical on length. So pull them both out. We're gonna line up those bolts, and I don't have one shock that's longer than the other. And even with the shocks off, it's still giving me droop. So on one side more than the other. So first problem that I found with the with the Traxxas, and this is probably why it's not going as straight as it could. Really, really low on my shock fluids. So let's take a look at these and see how low they are. That's nice and full. That is definitely nice and full. I don't mind the shock oil weight on these. I'm going to try to save it. Get this diaphragm over here. So no fluid on the back side of the diaphragm, which is good. And that one seems to be full as well. So Traxxas definitely filled their shocks. Now, how much are we going to limit this thing by? Whatever it is, it's got to be the same on both shocks. Looks about good right there. So I'm going to put the whole shock together and then see how much it's limiting it without ripping this O-ring. I don't need the spring or anything in it. I just need the length, just to make sure that it holds up that control arm the same distance on both sides. That's what we're going for here. Yeah, so that's how much it's going to hold it up. And this is the fun part about the racing. So yeah, there. Now the shock is limiting it. So now we're going to get this other one. Same thing. I'm going to hang it and make sure it drops the same. If not, I'll take it apart and adjust it by the fuel tubing. And then that'll give me the same same on both sides. Same droop on both sides. You can't have one shock drooping more than the other shock. It just, that's not going to work for you. If it, especially the way I'm trying to do it with the wheelie bar, which is keeping the front wheels on the ground, if I'm only leaving one wheel on the ground, no wonder why I'm all over the place. So I've cut these the same length. Let's see, where are we? Now I don't have the rubbers in there either, but I'm going to do the same on both shocks. With no rubber in there, that way they will be the same in the end. Without getting oil all over my tires. We're going to the inner hole, right back where they were, to try to keep them as straight as possible. Now let's see. Wonder if my droop's going to be the same. Or is this stupid thing leaning? So let's see. So I don't have the springs pushing it down, but I can't turn that one, and I can't turn that one. I can turn that one, and I can turn that one. So let's see, they hit at the same time. Yep. So now I'm even, just by putting limiting. So now we're going to assemble them properly and fill them up, because we know that we're exactly where we need to be. I don't have droop on the right side hanging lower than the left side, which I never even thought that that would be an issue. I have seen it before, but like Arma has droop screws that we can adjust. So I know I've seen it on my speed cars. But we can always have droop screws. Now, when you have something like this, depending on if this link is shorter and that link is longer to get the camber right, apparently it's affecting how much droop you have as well, which isn't good. But now we know. So if you're watching the video, you know to check your droop on your front. I will check droop on the rear too, but I don't think the rear's, this one just hangs lower when nothing's on it. This one just hangs a lot lower, look. Watch, we'll spin them both up. That wheel's hanging lower. So, just a plastic design flaw, you know? And that's creating us pulling left and right on launching. You want everything to be the same. So now what we're going to do is grab something so we can start filling this thing back up with fluid. Get all those air bubbles out of there. And I'm going to top it off with this stuff. I ever tell you guys I hate diff fluid and I hate shock oils? But I'd much rather do shocks than I would diffs. 100%. There we go. So I am going to have to take the eyelets off the bottom so that I can get the bump stops put back in it. I don't want it slamming down. But we'll be right back as soon as I get these shocks assembled, and then we'll put them back on. Be right back. All right. So, the droop. There is a little slop in the hubs, but the droop is back to normal, which means it's going to pick up and carry the wheels the same now. There's so much slop in all these joints that that's real close now. So now the limiting factor is these shocks, and right there is the bumps, which are the blue bumps that Traxxas added. So my travel is only that much now in the front, so I've limited it. So now it's going to have to literally pick up these wheels with traction. So hopefully that's enough. The next thing we're going to do is throw some aluminum wheels on the front. All right, so I think I'm going to take the wheels off the front of my Nova, and we're going to run these because these have got a fat front tire. So one thing I did notice, which I'm going to show you now, on this, you see how I have to run this little spacer on the Reef's wheels with the nuts. I have to run this way because on these gray ones, you see right here, the wheels, when you put the wheels on, the nut bottoms out before the rim bottoms out. So that space right there, I noticed, and these are the fat ones, the fat gray ones. I noticed that on this drag one, I think they changed those black ones, because I do have the black ones. I have the black ones on my blue build over there, and I still have to run that same spacer. But you can see how skinny the black one is, and the threads are all the way now. So this is half the size of the gray ones. These are the skinny ones, and they've literally threaded this all the way now. So when you put the wheel on, which I'll have to hold the back, so it drops in there. Now I can put the nut on and tighten it down, which is the black nut. So Traxxas did make a change to their, I guess you would call it their spindle. They literally threaded it all the way now. So all these little changes I notice from all my slashes to this one. See, I can tighten it all the way down. And you see this has a really fat front tire compared to most of my other skinnies. So I'm gonna, hopefully this will stabilize out the RC for me and add a little bit more weight to the front. So that's the way I'm gonna run this car. See, I wanna check droop on the rear. See, my droop on the rear is perfect for the slicks. Can't spin it up, but it's literally good. So I'm hoping, see, I might get too much lift out of that, but I can feel the weight now. So I'm hoping that adding that to the front and limiting the front shocks and putting the rubber wheels, because if I do come back on that, these fat rubber wheels, I got to glue these down too, because these will come off. So I got to throw some glue on these rubber wheels, because these rubbers will pop off. So you got to be careful with that. Make sure that you glue your rubber wheels. So I'm going to glue these wheels so that I'll have to take this back off. I can glue it off camera, because if you get sideways, the rubber will slip off of these and then you'll have a tire dangling in here. So I don't want that to happen with these fat rubber Traxxas wheels. These are the Traxxas wheelie bar rubber wheels. So, and they work really good because they're fat, they're square, they're stable. And you see, if I'm launching one direction, I can twist this wheelie bar. And you see how that wheel hits first and this one's still off the ground. So I try to keep mine straight. There is play in this. So if you're going up and hitting your wheelie bar and the thing's veering right or left, you can twist this wheelie bar because it's so long where that one's on the ground. See, that wheel stops and this one still spins. So that's why I say don't pick it up by the wheelie bar. I make sure that mine hit even by twisting this on the line. So definitely before you run or you launch, make sure that your wheelie bar, and that's why you always see me pushing down on this. I want to make sure that my wheels are hitting at the same time in the rear. And then if I'm veering, I'll twist it depending on which way I need to go. But that's going to end this video. This is the way we're going to run the Traxxas. I'm still going to run the Traxxas rear tires. I am digging these tires. They have a lot of traction. They're doing very well. Hopefully I'll get some new ones here soon before I wear these out. Hopefully these front wheels, being as fat as these tires are, they don't rub the body too bad. But yep, that's the way I'm going to give the next rip. So stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching. Earl's quick tip: check your front droop on your ready to run Traxxas Slash. And if one's drooping more than the other, you gotta correct it. But there we go. See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.